Hi guys, welcome back to the Kotlin series. In this video, we will see what are functions. Basically, what is a function? A function is a unit of code that performs special tasks. So it is like a lines of code which performs special tasks. So why are we using a function? What is a function actually? So make the to make the programming more manageable and breaking it into the smaller modules or smaller code bricks. So that's why we use functions. And one more thing is, we use functions to reuse the same line of code many times. Like if you want to add a number, okay, you will just take two variables and add it, right? If you want to add 5 sets of numbers, you will do the same thing. You will add 10 sets of numbers. So adding a number is not a big thing. But if you want to perform two operations, like if you want to add, subtract, multiply, everything you want to do for every set. So will you write plus, minus, divide and multiply for every other function, or just you will write a code so that, or you will write a function, or you will just write a function in which you will write the code and then you can use the function many times. So let's see what are functions and types of functions. So in Kotlin there are two types of functions: the standard library ones and the user defined, which we will define. So basically we will use both type of functions many times, and actually we use the standard library functions many times now. So let's see what are standard library functions. So in Kotlin there are different types of functions already built in the library, okay, already there. So we can just call them or pass argument. So example, we have used many. The first one, we use the println. So as you know, from the starting of the Kotlin series till this point, we used println many times. So println is also a function. So whenever I have told you to write a function, let's write println as a function. So it is a function. We will call the function and then we will write the argument, or we can call parameter or argument inside the println so that it can print it. So println also has a defined code so that it will execute when we write the println function. Now in the previous videos when we started arrays, we also used array of function like this. This is shown in the example. So the array of function is also there. There are many array of functions as we saw. There are many like integer array of, then long, byte, many type of arrays of array of functions we used. So there are many library functions, Kotlin standard library functions inside Kotlin, okay, and we have used many and we will use many. So the next one is user defined functions, which we will learn in this video mainly. So basically, what are the user defined functions? So basically, user defined functions are the functions which we will define, as you can understand by the name. So we will define the function. How do we will define the function? So every function has its properties, like its name, return type, number of parameters, type of parameters, what we return, and many things are there. So basically, how do we will define how will we create the user defined functions? Now, as you can see, there is a keyword to define a function, which is fun. As you can see in the start, there is a fun keyword. So this is a keyword of a function. Now, second thing is the function name. Okay, whenever we will call it, we will use obviously we will call it by a name as variables. So we will give name. That name is written like this, as you can see, fun name, okay. Then there are called parameters. Okay, if you want to example, let's take an example of adding two numbers. If you want to add two numbers, basically you want the two numbers first. So how will you take the two numbers actually? So for taking the two numbers, we use parameters. For taking not only two numbers, whatever you want to do in the function, we will take parameters. Like here, we can take many parameters, okay. So there is no limit for that, we can take as many parameters as we want. So the basic definition is a. So a is a variable name. Okay, let's take int as a data type. In the place of data type, you will write int. Then the return type. Okay, return type is not needed every time. Okay, if you want to return something, then only. So if what is returning something? So example, I am doing a work for you. You will give me your copy and pen, and I will return you the homework. Okay, but example, you have to submit it to the teacher. So one way is that I will return it to you and you will submit it, or else I will do it and I will submit it. So one in the first process, I am returning something to you. So I am returning a type to you. But in the second one, I am sending the data to, or sending the notes or homework to the teacher. So you don't have to take anything. So that is that in that case, we don't need a return type. But if you want the number which is added, then you need a data type. Or if you just want to print the number, nothing else, you don't care what the number is, or you don't want to do anything with the number, so you will just print it in the function, and then you don't need any data type. So let's see how the actual example of the function. So here I created a function which name is add two numbers. Here a is a variable and b is a variable. These are the two numbers. Now as you can see, the a and b have a type of integer, and the return type is integer. Here you can see this is the return type of the integer. Now here it is written val c equals to a plus b. Now I took a variable which is c, which will have the sum of a and b. Now I'll return c. So here I kept here integer, and I can only, yes, that's the another thing of functions, that the return type you defined, that only you should return. So if there is a float value, example, let's take an example. So imagine if you got a float value here, and if you want to return it, but it will not take, because integer is not float, and you have to return an integer, then you have to change it to a float if you want to return a float. Now this is a basic definition of the function, and if you don't want to return it, you will just remove this colon and int, and then you will just here, instead of return c, you will just write println c. Simple. So here what are you doing? You don't need a return type. So this was the example of function, and let's now do it in the IntelliJ IDE. As you can see here, I opened up my IntelliJ IDE, and now I will create a function. Now where do I'll create a function? I'll create the function outside the main block, not inside the main block. So basically what we'll write, fun as the keyword function. As I told you, add two numbers, we will do the same function. So as you can see, the naming convention, which is the capital T and then capital N. So the naming convention of the function is like this. If you want to have a single name, so you will just write add, but in small letters. But if you have multiple words in a function name, so you will write like this. This is the naming convention you should follow every time. Now I'll take two numbers. Obviously we will want to add two numbers, so we want two numbers to take. So I'll take just like the same a, then the data type int, comma, then you can give a comma, and b, and the data type int. Now these are the two variables we took as a parameter. So these are called parameters, right? Now what is the return type? If you want a return type, as I told you, you can just print it, or you can have a return type. So basically let's start with printing something. Okay, we will not have a return type. Now what we will do here is there is no return type. Now just what we will do is println a plus b. That's all we want. We just want to add two numbers and print it. Now what we can do here in the main function, we will call it. We will call the function. This is called calling a function. How do we call a function? By its name. See, as you can see here, as IntelliJ IDE already is showing you add two numbers. So it is showing you, see, add two numbers, then there is two parameters. It is showing you a int, b int. So two integers you can take as a parameter. Whatever the int, it doesn't matter. You can take it. So as you can see here, I'll just write our function name, add two numbers, and write whatever two numbers you want. You can write anything, 54, 53 I wrote here, and see, this is over. Now, are we using this function? Now, what you have to do, if you had to add two numbers, and not like only two numbers, you have to add many numbers. Okay, add two numbers, just call it, pass the parameters, whatever you have, print it, call it, print it. So let's run the program and see what's the output. As you can see here, there are two outputs, 107 and 163. So these two add up and make 107, and these two add up and make 163. So see, adding two numbers is just simple. If you want to do something like print, and if you want to just have like this, as we can see, if the addition is, or you can just have whatever you want to do, you can so this like this, you can do anything. There are many ways to do it. So if you can just add the two numbers and just print addition is, subtraction is, or whatever you want to do inside these lines, you can do anything you want. Now let's see how the return type works. As I told you, I give a colon, type integer. Now what we will do here is, we will take a val c, okay, another variable, and then add the number to both of them. Sorry, add the both numbers. Now the sum of the both number is stored into c. Let's return c. Okay, write return and c, just that's over. Now what is happening here is, or you can do one thing. So as you can see, IntelliJ IDE is showing something here. So what it is showing? So let's see, if I write like this, so this is giving me a suggestion here. So every time read the suggestion, what it is giving. It gives good suggestions. So like it is writing here, inline variable used only in the following return statements and can be inline. So if I click this, then it's simply making it into one statement. So it is improving your code. So this is the advantage of IntelliJ IDE. It is improving your code. So, and by improving your code, you are also knowing that you can do this thing. Okay, so whenever you get a line or a small light line, just see what it is telling. So it will improve your coding part. Now as you can see, I can do like this, or I can have the same thing. Now anything, it doesn't matter. Now what it is happening, if I run this now, as there is no println, it will not print anything. If let's run the program, I ran the program. As you can see in the output, there is nothing. Why there is nothing? Because we are adding the numbers, but it is returning something, but we are not printing the return type. Now what is return type? So if you equate it with anything like val, I take a keyword val c or something. Okay, now what or sum I'll take. Okay, so sum is this one. So val sum. Now the return will contain, or return will be contained in this sum. Now if you print the sum, if I take println sum, sorry, just this, and if I now print it or run the program, let's see the output. Now as you can see, it printed the 107. So now what the return type, as you can see, the return type will return something. So this function will return something, and it's your purpose that you can take the return type if you want. You can't take the return type if you don't want. It's your wish, totally. It doesn't matter, but this will return. So if I return you the homework, if you want to give to the lecturer or the teacher, it's your wish. Or if you want to take the homework, that is also your wish. But I will return to you. That's my problem. So that's my part. I will do my part. Like that, the add two numbers will also add and return it to you. return it to the variable or whatever, wherever you want to save it, and then you can print it. You can do whatever you want with the variable. So this was the basics of functions in Kotlin. So that was all for today's video, and let's meet in the next one. Bye.